Very nice to see you both. Ms. Monaco, we go way back to Reno DOJ, and then in my time on the Intelligence Committee when you were involved in the national security world. So I'm delighted to see you here in this new iteration of your career. I do want to flag one piece of unfinished business for you that came up in my conversation with Director Wray, which has to do with all of the information that the FBI refused to provide us over the last 3 to 4 years in response to both questions for the record and letters seeking information. As you can imagine, when years went by without getting answers, that became intensely frustrating. And when we saw the FBI freely providing information to one side of the aisle while blockading the highway for most of us to get information out of the FBI, the frustration grew quite considerably. So I'm going to want your commitment that we're going to get these questions answered and that we're going to be able to do proper oversight of these long overdue, stonewalled topic areas. I don't think you can expect me to trust the person who blocked the information all those years, so I need to hear that from you. I got a good answer from the nominee for Attorney General, Judge Garland, and I'd like to get your commitment that this multi-year blockade of information for this committee out of the FBI and out of the department to a degree will stop.
Well, Senator, first, I very much respect and appreciate the role of oversight of this committee, and I very much understand your frustration, and I appreciate you raising it with me on the call that we had, and I appreciate you taking the time to do that. I also know of you raising this with Director Wray last week when he was here. So you have my commitment that I will do my level best, if I am confirmed, to ensure that this committee gets timely and responsive answers. I also understand that you want us to address the backlog that you're talking about.
Thank you.
I'll do my best to discuss that with Director Wray and make sure you can get the answers.
Yeah, I think we'll probably want to set up an investigative plan of some kind so we know what we are, you know what we're asking for, and you know what we can get.
You're prioritizing the request, I think, would be helpful as well.
We will do that. A couple of things that you're going to come across if confirmed. One is the Office of Legal Counsel. I'm concerned that that organization needs a pretty hard and close look. The torture memos and the warrantless wiretap memos were pretty extraordinary efforts and blew up within the very department in which they'd been written under the administration that sought them. So that was a pretty good sign of OLC going off the rails. Then we had 2 OLC opinions that were reviewed by the DC District Court and the Southern District of New York District Court, and they got, I would say, caustic receptions, the kind of receptions that if I were supervising those lawyers, I'd want to go and have a good look. It's not clear to me that OLC has actually modified those views to respond to those caustic judicial opinions. And I worry particularly about the box canyon that OLC has built for its determination that the president can't be investigated. In our country, all the way back to Chief Justice Marshall, it's the courts say what the law is, but the way that they've framed their doctrine, this question never gets to a court to be looked at because the self-fulfilling consequence of their opinion is that there's never a matter to go before the court. So we have no Article III support for the OLC opinion that there can be no investigation of the president. I think we need to resolve all of those things. There was a time when OLC was a truly vaunted place, and I'm afraid that it has devolved into a place where political errands get run, and I would urge you to take a good close look at OLC. I would also urge you to let us know what the role of the department is going to be with respect to executive privilege determinations. We have spent years getting completely fanciful executive privilege assertions out of the Trump administration. sometimes not even using the word executive privilege, just stamping blank pages with the phrase constitutional privilege as if that's supposed to mean something. And I've understood it to be the department's role to be the intermediary on executive privilege assertions when other agencies of government make that assertion, and to be the policeman for the process to make sure that there actually is a proper assertion of executive privilege. Are you prepared to undertake that role in a meaningful way?
Yes, Senator. As you rightly state, the department's job is to ensure that the law is faithfully applied and is done in an even-handed and fairly and impartial way. I think OLC serves a very, very important function, as I think you'll agree with me.
Yeah.
We can't have rule of law unless we have a fair, unbiased, rigorous answers to questions that are posed to by executive agencies to the Office of Legal Counsel. In my past experience, abiding by a set of transparent best practices, I think, can be very useful. And if I'm confirmed, it would be something that I would make a priority to understand how they're operating and whether those best practices are being adhered to.
Thank you. Ms. Gupta, as we look at in this committee, we've already had hearings and we'll continue to look at the question of qualified immunity. I'd urge you to take a good look at the doctrine of respondeat superior, which is the general doctrine governing employee-employer relations, and it generally makes the employer responsible for all torts committed by the employee as long as it's within the course and scope of employment. It seems to me that that's a very logical fallback, and it seems to me that when departments and managers are responsible for misconduct, then the forces of discipline, of training, of procedure, and all the things that drive the conduct of command-based agencies start to work in the public's favor. And I'm out of time, so if you could just make your comment very brief on that.
I appreciate you flagging that, Senator. And if I'm confirmed, I would look forward to working with you and other members who I know are going to be engaging these important questions in upcoming legislation. But your flagging of the respondeat superior doctrine is certainly something that I recall actually you raising when I appeared before this body this summer. And I would be very interested in thinking about that further on these tough issues. Thank you.
Thanks, Senator Whitehouse. Senator Lee.